on First at 9 this Monday, the 19th of May 2025. Nation's Tribute. War heroes who made the supreme sacrifice in defense of the motherland commemorated in a national ceremony. Sri Lanka will not be intimidated by external threats, assures the president. Opposites attract. Samagi Jana Balawege and the United National Party agree to collaborate to establish power in local government bodies where the opposition holds a majority. Long-awaited arrival. The first batch of imported salt scheduled to arrive in the country the day after tomorrow, says the Trade Minister. Emerging from poverty. Sri Lanka's official poverty line decreases in March 2025.
Cinec Campus Open Day. May masa 3 වෙනි දින උදෑසන 9 සිට Cinec Campus පරිශ්‍රයේදී.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9, brought to you by the nation's most trusted news source, Derana. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now in your top story this evening, as Sri Lanka celebrates 16 years since the end of the 30-year reign of terror, the state-sponsored annual commemoration of the war victory was held today at the National War Memorial in Battaramulla under the patronage of President Anura Dissanayake. During the event, all war veterans who made the supreme sacrifice and those who were left permanently disabled in the pursuit of peace were remembered and honoured. Speaking at the event, President Anura Dissanayake assured that Sri Lanka will not be intimidated by external threats.
The national ceremony to commemorate Sri Lanka's victory over terrorism and pay tribute to war heroes who sacrificed their lives in the effort to liberate the country from the clutches of the LTTE at the National War Heroes Cenotaph in Battaramulla under the patronage of the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Anura Dissanayake.
Seva Senadinayaka Anura Kumar Dissanayake Mattumange Gauroniya Sampraptiyai දැන් සනිටුවන්න ඕනේ.
Following the president's arrival, disabled and retired war heroes and relatives of fallen war heroes were ceremonially escorted before the war memorial. The commemoration ceremony was also attended by the commanders of the tri-forces during the final stages of the conflict, Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca, Admiral of the Fleet Wasantha Karannagoda and Marshal of the Air Force Roshan Gunatilaka and several other senior defence officials. Religious observances of all faiths commenced thereafter.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
The head of state addressed the attendees of the National War Heroes Day commemoration afterwards. A large number of our courageous soldiers laid down their lives to bring an end to the decades-long conflict that plagued the nation. It is our responsibility to pass on a peaceful and united country to future generations. Yet, we must reflect on the current state of our nation. The challenges we face today are not due to natural disasters, but rather the result of decisions driven by the pursuit of political power. Certain groups have used the legacy of the war to gain or maintain authority and to obscure their failures, ultimately causing hardship for citizens across the country. However, our people from across the country have become victims of such actions. This reminds us that war brings only devastation and loss. Unfortunately, in the present context, peace is often misrepresented as betrayal. This must be said. It is only before the truth that we will surrender. Peace building must be recognized as the essential next step after ending a war. We are committed to taking every decision to ensure peace in the country without being influenced by other external national forces. However, ethnic divisions have been reignited in both the north and south, once again to be used as a tool for political power. Even at the end of this brutal war, we still have failed to liberate the country entirely. We must reconsider what genuine liberation means. If every global crisis leaves us worried about its impact on our economy and citizens' livelihoods, then true freedom remains out of reach. Is this what we call freedom? Can a nation that has experienced economic collapse truly be considered free? A comprehensive economic transformation is vital for us to emerge as a respected nation on the global stage. We must also work toward eradicating organized crime and drug trafficking to create a law-abiding society. We have an inviolable affection towards this country as well as for the citizens of this country. Above all, we will contribute to honor and remember the immense contributions and sacrifices of our war heroes. A 2-minute silence was observed in tribute to the war heroes who made the supreme sacrifice in defense of the motherland. After ceremonial military traditions, floral tributes were paid to the war memorial, with President Anura Dissanayake taking the lead. Following that, the relatives of fallen war heroes paid floral tributes to the memorial. A significant moment during the War Heroes Day commemoration, which has been observed annually for the past 16 years, occurred thereafter. Parents, spouses and children respectfully searched for the names of their loved ones who laid down their lives in defense of the nation, evoking a sense of solemn reflection. The sacrifices and courage of those who led the nation out of the 30-year nightmare will always be remembered with gratitude and respect.
Earlier today, President Anura Dissanayake visited disabled war veterans at the Mihindu Setmadura Convalescent Home in Athidiya. The head of state inquired about the well-being of resident war heroes and also discussed further enhancement in medical and rehabilitative services.
President Anura Dissanayake today paid a visit Mihindu Setmadura Convalescent Home in Athidiya, Dehiwala, accompanied by the Secretary to the Ministry of Defence, Air Vice Marshal Sampath Tuyakonta. Mihindu Setmadura is a long-term care facility and healing home for war veterans who were disabled during the conflict. According to the President's office, President Dissanayake had acknowledged the lasting impact of the 30-year-long war, causing immense suffering across the nation, with individuals from both the north and south not only lost their lives but also enduring severe physical injuries, including the loss of limbs and encountering permanent disabilities. The President had also reiterated his firm commitment to ensure that such a tragedy is never repeated. Additionally, President Dissanayake held discussions with the medical professionals and staff at Mihindu Setmadura with special focus on identifying areas where medical and rehabilitative services could be further enhanced to better serve the needs of the war veterans.
Leader of the opposition Sajith Premadasa called for the urgent establishment of a national program dedicated to the welfare of war heroes and their families. Delivering a special statement today in line with the War Heroes commemoration, Premadasa strongly criticised the exploitation of war heroes for political gain.
Today marks 16 years since the historic victory that brought an end to the 3-decade-long conflict with the LTTE. On this solemn occasion, we once again honour the profound sacrifices made by the brave soldiers who laid their lives to safeguard the sovereignty, territorial integrity, independence and democracy of our nation. Ensuring the well-being of these war heroes as well as their families have become the need of the hour. It is imperative to implement housing programs for those who do not not possess land or permanent residences. Likewise, livelihood development initiatives should be introduced to support those currently facing financial hardship. To ensure long-term stability, economic empowerment through entrepreneurial assistance must be prioritized. In light of the rapid technological advancement, it is imperative to extend educational support and technical training to the children of fallen war heroes, thereby securing their future. We also express strong concern over the politicization and exploitation of war heroes for partisan purposes. A true war commemoration necessitates the establishment of a comprehensive national program dedicated to the sustained welfare of their families. This should remain a collective priority for all of us at this time.
මේ රටේ ජාතික න්‍යාය පත්‍රයේ ඉහළම තලයට ගෙනෙන යුගය අපි නිර්මාණය
සිනෙක් කැම්පස් ඕපන් ඩේ මැයි මස 3 වැනි දින උදෑසන 9 සිට සිනෙක් කැම්පස් පරිශ්‍රයේදී.
The Samagi Jana Balavege and the United National Party have reached a mutual agreement to establish administrations in local government institutions where the opposition possesses a majority of councillors through collaboration with other opposition parties. The agreement was reached during a special discussion chaired by opposition leader Sajith Premadasa this morning at the opposition leader's office.
The discussions focused on formulating a strategy to establish power in local government institutions where opposition parties collectively command a majority. Representing the SJB at the discussion were General Secretary Ranjit Madhuma Bandara, Lakshman Kiriyalla and Mujibur Rahman. Representing the UNP were General Secretary Thalata Atukorala, Chairman Wajira Abeyawardena, National Organizer Sagar Ratnayaka and Deputy Leader Ruwan Vijayawardena. Following the meeting, a joint statement was issued, signed by the General Secretaries of both parties, affirming that discussions were held on policies for the collaborative establishment of power at the local government level. The parties confirmed that they successfully reached an agreement to move forward with other opposition groups to establish control over local authorities.
ඔබතුමාලට සම්බන්ධ ලිපියක් අපි දීලා තියෙනවා.
ඒකාබද්ධ නිවේදනයක් නිකුත් කළා.
ඒකාබද්ධ නිවේදනයේ පැහැදිලිව තියෙනවා මොකද්ද කතා කරේ මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ කියන එක.
සියල්ල අවසానයි.
නෑ ඉදිරියට සාකච්ඡා තියෙනවා.
අනිත් පක්ෂ සමග සාකච්ඡාවල්
ඒවත් බොහොම සාර්ථකව අවසන් වුණා.
ඒවත් එක එකගතාවයකට ඇවිල්ලාද තියෙන්නේ.
විපක්ෂයේ සියලු කාණ්ඩායම් පොදු එකගතාවයට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා.
ඒ වුණාට ජනාධිපතිතුමාට අනුව නම් ලේසි නෑ පිටවන්න.
කවුද ජනාධිපතිතුමාට බය?
මාස 4න් ඔබතුමාලගේ ඒව කඩනවා කියලානේ කියන්නේ.
ඒගොල්ලෝ එහෙම තමයි කියන්නේ බය කරන්නේ. කො මේ රටේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී. දැන් මේ බලය පිහිටුවනේ කී නායකත්වයේ සමිතියේ සභාවට යන්න කියන රණීති මහතා. නෑ එහෙම නෑ අපි පොදු විපක්ෂය.
අඩිතාලම සාර්ථකයි.
සාර්ථකයි.
සාර්ථක අපි ඒකාබද්ධ ප්‍රතිපත්ති මත අපි එකතු වුණා. අපි ඒකාබද්ධ කිවිසුමක් ඔය තියෙන්නේ. නිවේදනයක් තියෙනවා බලන්න.
දැන් මොකද රනිල් මහත්තයා කැමතිද සජිත් මහත්තයා කැමතිද?
ඒක ඉතින් කියනවා අපේ ගහලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ දෙන්නේ ගහලා.
With that, here's a look at more thoughts shared in the political arena today.
අද උදෑසන සමගි ජන බලවේගයේ එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය එකතු වෙලා තීන්දුවක් කරන් තියෙනවා මේ පළාත් පාලන ආයතනවල බලය පිහිටුවන්න එකතු වෙන්න. ඔබතුමාලා මොන වගේ තීන්දුවකද?
ඒ පක්ෂ දෙක එකතු වීම පිළිබඳව
We have no issues with those two parties joining together. We are not sure whether it will be under the leadership of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe or Sajith Premadasa.
දන්නේ නෑ තාම.
ඔබතුමාලාගේ සහයෝගය දෙනවද?
තනි පක්ෂයකට
In
බහුතරයක්
councils where a single party does not hold a majority, we will support the election of a chairman who has the backing of the majority.
අපි සහයෝගය දෙනවා. ජනාධිපතිතුමා ඡන්ද කාලේ
During the election period, the president said that independent candidates were fraudsters. But now the president is summoning independent groups whose candidates were elected to the Colombo Municipal Council to the presidential secretariat to gain their support. What is this? Not only that, many businessmen have been deployed to bribe the candidates. They even visit candidates from our party. One NPP deputy minister is going to these candidates' houses with businessmen to meet them.
ව්‍යාපාරිකවත් එක්ක යන්නේ.
ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වා අපි සල්ලි දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා.
Earlier they said they would not allocate funds to local government authorities they don't win. The public did not care. Now they claim they will bring these institutions under the control of the commissioner. Constitutionally, they have no right to do so. This is how bankrupt they are. Let's wait and see what happens in court and who is fair and who is not.
කවුද සාධාරණ කවුද අසාධාරණ කියලා.
The NPP candidates who were elected are of no use. That gives us an idea of how things operate at the top level. They ruin the country, and now the villagers will also be ruined if the wrong people get into these positions.
Former Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Aluthgamage was remanded until the 26th of this month today by the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court over his alleged involvement in the importation of a shipment of substandard organic fertilizer during the tenure of the previous government. Following a warrant issued by Colombo Chief Magistrate Tanuja Lakmali on the 16th of this month, Aluthgamage appeared before the court today via a motion. He had also filed a petition before the Colombo Magistrates Court seeking anticipatory bail, citing concerns over a potential arrest by the Bribery Commission. The Bribery Commission alleged that former Minister Aluthgamage pressured the chairman of fertilizer companies to open the letters of credit for the importation of the substandard fertilizer and pointed out that the country lost $6.9 million due to his arbitrary decisions. Considering the facts presented, the Colombo Chief Magistrate ordered that Aluthgamage be placed under remand custody. The former minister was brought to the New Magazine prison in Valikada this afternoon. Parliamentarian Chamara Sampath Dasanayake was released on bail by the Badulla Magistrates Court today in connection with the case filed against him by the Bribery Commission over alleged misuse of state funds. Addressing the media following his release, MP Dasanayake affirmed that the government will not be able to prevent him from performing his duties as an opposition legislator with the threat of legal action.
March 27th, parliamentarian of the New Democratic Front, Chamara Sampath Dasanayake, arrived at the Bribery Commission to record a statement in relation to an investigation into an irregularity during his tenure as Chief Minister of Over Province in 2016. He was later arrested over 3 corruption charges and produced before the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court. 3 cases were filed against the MP before the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court and another case was filed at the Badulla Magistrates Court. However, he was granted bail in all 3 cases before the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court on April 8th. The other case filed by the Criminal Investigation Department against him under the Public Property Act before the Badulla Magistrates Court was recalled today. Accordingly, the parliamentarian who was being held under remand custody was produced before the court. After considering a bail application, Badulla Magistrate Nujith De Silva ordered the release of MP Chamara Sampath Dasanayake on 2 sureties of ₹1 million each. After being released on bail, MP Dasanayake paid a visit to the War Heroes Memorial in Badulla.
I have so much to say, and no one can silence me after I spent 2 months in prison. They cannot intimidate us with lawsuits and imprisonment. We are here to fulfill the duties of the opposition. The cases filed against me in 2016 have been reopened this year. I have faced many such allegations. However, I do not care. We will face them. The judiciary is fair and I believe it will deliver a fair verdict in the future.
Meanwhile, Colombo Chief Magistrate Tanuja Lakmali today ordered the release of former parliamentarian Milan Jayatilaka, who was arrested and produced before the court by the Bribery Commission. The commission arrested Jayatilaka on charges of preparing illegal plans for plots of land that were to be developed and sold, causing a loss of ₹373,880 to the government during his tenure as the chairman of the Dompe Pradeshiya Sabha.
Trade Minister Vasantha Samarasinghe announced today that the first batch of imported salt is scheduled to arrive in the country the day after tomorrow. However, there is already a severe shortage of salt in the local market, which has adversely affected various sectors, including industries such as bakeries.
Salt, a staple in every Sri Lankan household, is currently in short supply. This scarcity is attributed to reduced domestic production over the past year, primarily due to persistent unfavorable weather in areas where salt is produced. As a result, consumers across the country are facing significant inconvenience. The shortage of iodized salt in the market is particularly impacting industries such as bakeries, which are struggling to remain operational. Against this backdrop, Minister of Industry Sunil Handunethi engaged in a tour of inspection at the Palavia Salt Manufacturing Faculty in Puttalam today. During the visit, company officials informed the minister that this year's salt yield was significantly below expectations due to unfavorable weather.
All the saltons in the country have experienced over 100 millimeters of rainfall in the recent past, which is something that can't be controlled politically. Because of that, we decided to import salt. We have taken on the responsibility to provide salt without making it an inconvenience to the public.
Several parties, including consumer advocacy groups, criticized the government for failing to take timely action, which they claim has contributed to the current shortage.
Lanka
Salt Limited and the government was concerned more about the weather than the availability of salt. The government did not take a proper cabinet decision at the right time. That is why there is a salt shortage. The government should not pass the blame to previous administrations.
Meanwhile, Trade Minister Wasantha Samarasinghe confirmed that the first consignment of imported salt will reach Sri Lanka in 2 days.
The salt harvest we expected from Hambantota was 100,000 metric tons, but the officials says we will only be able to harvest 60,000 metric tons this year. There is a possibility of a shortage again. Therefore, we have informed importers that they can import salt until June 10th. Within these 20 days, we expect to receive 40 to 50,000 metric tons. We have been informed that first 100 containers of salt from the first importer is expected on Wednesday.
පළවෙනි ආනයනකරුවගේ කන්ටේනර් 100ක් ලංකාවට එනවා කියලා අපිට දැනුම් දීලා තියෙනවා.
නිෂ්පාදන ප්‍රමාණවත් නැතිනම් ඇයි කලින් ආනයනය කරන්න ඉඩ දුන්නේ නැත්තේ?
ලුණු නිෂ්පාදකයන්ගේ සංගම් විසින්ම අපෙන් ඉල්ලීමක් කළා තමයි.
After importing 12,000 metric tons from the earlier approved 30,000, Salt Manufacturers Association requested that importation be halted as they can manage demand. We are able to import salt within a week. We took the decision last Wednesday. Importers started the process on Thursday and we will get the first shipment by next Wednesday.
ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන්න පටන් ගත්තා. මේ බදාදා වෙනකොට ලුණු වෙනවා.
Welcome back to First at 9. Sri Lanka's official poverty line decreased by 16 rupees to 16,302 in March this year compared to 16,318 in February. According to the latest report by the Department of Census and Statistics, the Colombo district reported the highest poverty line with 17,582 rupees, down from 17,599 last month. The Gampaha district recorded the second highest poverty line of 17,492 rupees, followed by Nuwara with 17,143. The Monaragal district claimed the lowest poverty line with 15,587 rupees. The Colombo Stock Exchange closed in positive territory today as a result of price gains in counters such as Hatton National Bank, John Kills Holdings and Ceylon Bank. The benchmark all-share price index closed 0.11% higher at 16,397.68, while the more liquid S&P SL20 gained 0.3% to close at 4,835.04. Market turnover was 2.6 billion rupees. The banking sector emerged as the top contributor to turnover, followed by the capital goods sector. Foreign investors closed as net buyers, purchasing shares worth 178 million rupees. Senior analyst of Capital Alliance, Sahajit Nasa, joins us now with a few thoughts to round off our Markets in View segment for the week.
The domestic stock market increased throughout the previous week. The S&P SL20 increased by 3.5% from 4,657 points to 4,820 points, while the ASPI increased by 2.91% from 15,916 points to 16,379 points. In addition to the index performance, market turnover increased by 11.54% to 11.03 billion rupees, owing mostly to contributions from the capital goods sector and the banking sector. Furthermore, the government raised 80 billion rupees through treasury bond auctions held the week before last.
And with that, here's a look at today's exchange rates. In international economic developments, Britain agreed to the most significant reset of defence and trade ties with the European Union since Brexit, after US President Donald Trump's upending of the global order forced the two sides to move on from their acrimonious divorce. Nearly 9 years after it voted to leave the bloc, Britain, a defence heavyweight, will take part in joint procurement projects with the European Union. The two sides also agreed to make it easier for UK food and visitors to reach the EU region and signed a contentious new fishing deal. Trump's tariffs, alongside warnings that Europe could do more to protect itself, forced governments around the world to rethink trade, defence and security ties, bringing British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who backed remaining in the EU in the Brexit referendum, closer to France's Emmanuel Macron and other European leaders. It is the third deal Britain has struck this month after agreements with India and the US, and at the heart of the reset is a defence and security pact that will let Britain be part of any joint procurement and pave the way for British companies to take part in $167 billion programs to rearm Europe. Welcome back to First at 9. Now, in international developments, a report has surfaced that a Lufthansa flight with 205 people on board had been without a pilot for 10 minutes last year after the co-pilot fainted while he was alone in the cockpit. According to a new report from Spain's Accident Investigation Authority, the captain had briefly left the cockpit to use the lavatory when the co-pilot fainted during a flight from Frankfurt to Seville, Spain on February 17, 2024. A total of 199 passengers and 6 crew members were aboard the Airbus A321 at the time. The aircraft continued to fly in a stable manner due to autopilot being active. An investigation determined that the co-pilot's incapacitation was the symptom of a pre-existing neurological condition that he did not know he had and that had not been picked up during his aeronautical medical examination. The co-pilot's medical certificate has been suspended since. Meanwhile, a major terror plot was foiled in Hyderabad yesterday after 2 men suspected of planning blasts in the city were arrested. According to local police, the 2 accused, Siraj, aged 29, and Samir, aged 28, are suspected to have links with an ISIS cell in Saudi Arabia. A joint operation by the counterintelligence cell of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana police first arrested Siraj in Andhra Pradesh following a tip-off. Siraj then revealed details to the police that led to the arrest of the second suspect, Samir, from Hyderabad. Police have recovered materials used to manufacture explosives, including ammonia, sulfur and aluminium powder from the suspects' residences. Police stated that the 2 arrestees are currently under custody and will be produced before a court soon. That's all for tonight from First at 9. Thank you for joining. Have a great night.